So Donald Trump and his legal team had a very rough day in court today. It just did not go to plan for them. So today was closing arguments in the New York City criminal case against Donald Trump. And this is a very significant day in the trial. These closing arguments could make or break the case against Trump. So both sides have to be on point, they have to be factual, and they have to be logical. And the defense went first, as is required by New York law, and they kind of put forward this really strange and hole-filled explanation for why Donald Trump is innocent. I think the consensus from the people who were in the courtroom today was that it was average, it was kind of mid, but the prosecutors are now up, and they completely tore Trump's defense to shreds. Specifically, two main theories that Trump's lawyers put forward toward his innocence. So we're going to talk about how those two theories were just demolished right before our eyes. So one of the major theories that Trump's defense put forward in their closing argument was about an October 24th, 2016 phone call that Michael Cohen made to Donald Trump and Trump's bodyguard, Keith Schiller. Now, Michael Cohen says that during this phone call, they talked about the payment to Stormy Daniels, the $130,000. But Todd Blanche and Trump's legal team put forward a different theory, and they cross-examined Cohen about this previously. They brought this up in trial, but they brought it up again in closing arguments. Now, they allege that this phone call was not actually about the payment to Stormy Daniels. It had nothing to do with that. Instead, the phone call was about harassing calls and text messages that Michael Cohen had been receiving from a 14-year-old boy. And Cohen was calling Schiller and Trump, specifically the bodyguard, to ask what could be done about this 14-year-old. How could he make it stop and tell the 14-year-old to kind of go away? That's what Todd Blanche said. And they specifically focused on the fact that the phone call was only 1 minute and 36 seconds, as you can kind of see at the end of that first paragraph there. Their theory is that there is absolutely no way that they could have talked about all of these things, the 14-year-old and the Stormy Daniels payment, in this 1 minute and 36-second phone call. It's just too short, and that Michael Cohen was lying. So the prosecution said, not so fast, guys. And during their closing argument today, the prosecutor, Steinglass, basically reenacted the phone call and proved that that's not the case. So we have reporting here from Katie Fang, who is an MSNBC journalist, amazingly talented person. And her reporting writes, regarding that 10/24/16 call from Cohen to Keith Schiller's cell phone, Steinglass, again the prosecutor, at a measured pace, reenacts how that conversation might have gone down. First, Cohen speaks to Schiller about the 14-year-old teenager who is blowing up Cohen's phone. And then Cohen speaks to Trump about the Stormy Daniels repayment. In that non-rushed reenactment, the entire conversation with both Schiller and Trump only took 49 seconds, well within the time allotted per the cell phone records. 49 seconds. So Trump's lawyer's entire theory is that there's no way that Cohen could have talked about both topics in a phone call that's 1 minute and 36 seconds, 96-second phone call. However, Steinglass, the prosecutor, literally reenacted the phone call before the jury, right in front of their faces, and he covered all of these topics in a non-rush pace in 49 seconds. 49 seconds. He proved right to them that their theory about this phone call, that it was too short, is BS. It's bogus. It's not true. And it's perfectly reasonable for Michael Cohen to have addressed all of those things in that phone call, and that it's more likely than not that Michael Cohen's testimony is accurate. Destroyed. Just their entire defense on this phone call destroyed. They've tried this multiple times, and the prosecution had an answer for it every single time, such as a picture of Trump with the bodyguard 5 minutes before the phone call, and now proving through reenactment that it's perfectly possible and reasonable that both of those things could have been addressed in that minute 36 phone call. Trump's team is having such a rough time right now. I don't know why they thought that that was a good theory to go with. It's absolutely possible that both things could have been covered in that time frame, and the prosecutors just proved it. Again, right before the jury. Like, if you think about 1 minute and 36 seconds, do they just think that that is only time for one topic? That it's not possible for 2, 3, maybe even 4 things to be addressed at that one point? Again, Michael Cohen said that the phone call was basically him just confirming that the payment was good and that everything had been finalized. that doesn't take a minute, 36 seconds. He could say, yeah, this 14-year-old's annoying me. Oh, and by the way, the Stormy Daniels payment is finalized. We're good to go, which is what Michael Cohen testified to. So this entire theory just collapsed before us. But the second thing I got to show you is so terrible, just so devastating for Trump's defense. So during their closing arguments today, Todd Blanche was essentially once again arguing that the payments to Michael Cohen was a retainer agreement. This is coming from Andrew Weissman, lawyer who works at MSNBC and also a on-air host. He's fantastic. Blanche says that there was a retainer agreement with Trump, and that is why he got the $35,000 monthly. So once again, Todd Blanche and Donald Trump's legal team is saying that there's no reimbursement of Michael Cohen. It's a retainer, that Michael Cohen was providing legal services, and that's why he was getting $35,000 a month. Right? That's the theory that Trump's defense is putting forward. So the prosecutors got up once again and said, sorry, that's just absolutely not true, and we can use Trump's words against him. So as you can see from another legal journalist, Anna Bauer, the prosecutor got up and showed the 2018 Trump tweet in which Trump says he repaid Cohen for the Daniels payment through reimbursement. And yet Steinglass tells the jurors that the defense insists the payments were for legal services. That's right. In 2018, Donald Trump identified the repayment to Michael Cohen as a reimbursement, not as a retainer, as a reimbursement. And here's the tweet. Trump said, Mr. Cohen, an attorney, received a monthly retainer not from the campaign and having nothing to do with the campaign, from which he entered into through reimbursement. He called it a reimbursement. That's what Trump said. And then the prosecutor, Steinglass, kind of really harped on that point to the jury, saying, quote, does anyone believe that? And because Trump admits he knew payments were reimbursement, it means he knew the papers that called them payment for legal service were false. And this is Harry Littman saying that the jury was attentive when he said that. So the prosecution not only debunked Trump's entire theory about the phone call by reenacting it, but also they used Donald Trump's own words against his defense lawyers, where Trump identified the payment as a reimbursement. So the defense lawyers are basically asking the jury to not listen to Donald Trump's own words, to completely disregard that tweet and disregard what Donald Trump said. You know, he was just yapping, right? That's what they're saying. Whereas the prosecution is saying, hey, just listen to the defendant. This is what the defendant said. Trump called it a reimbursement, and now they're trying to convince you and lie to your face that it was simply a retainer, and that Michael Cohen was just doing legal services, even though nobody identified that as legal services at the time. Give me a break. Spare me. The jury's not having any of it. Or at least the American people are not having any of it. We don't know what the jury's thinking, but I'm sure that they see the contradiction as well, because the prosecution is kind of laying it out so nicely and so perfectly, kind of painting that story of how Trump is just lying right now. His lawyers are not being truthful about the actual facts. So the phone call theory has been debunked. The retainer theory has been debunked by Donald Trump's own words. What else does the Trump defense have? Their entire defense has been torn apart. They are simply playing right now for a hung jury. I don't think that they're actually hoping for a complete acquittal on all 34 charges. I think they want just one juror to say, I can't do it. I'm not agreeing to a guilty verdict for Trump on any charges. That's what they're playing for right now. They know that their theories are not great. They're not really painting the reasonable doubt that's necessary. They're kind of just making up stuff as they go. Really terrible day for Donald Trump and his lawyers, and I loved every minute of it. They got destroyed. And it's still going on as I film this, probably concluded once you're watching. But what a great day for the prosecution. What a great day for justice. So I'll leave the video there. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you being here. Make sure to subscribe down below. It goes such a long way. Also, drop a like on the video. Please comment. Let me know what you think about all of this. Share the video with anybody you think needs to see it. And as always, I appreciate you being here, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.